here. This is great. So great to see you all. Welcome everyone to this special gathering of the Poor People's Campaign and National Call for Moral Revival. My name is Siggy Malis. I'm one of the co-directors of organizing for Repairs of the Breach and for the Poor People's Campaign. And before we get started, I want to acknowledge that for our Jewish movement family, Yom Kippur is finishing up or has just ended, and we want to wish you all an easy and meaningful fast as you observe this important time. So while folks are getting settled in, you're joining, getting comfortable where you are, joining on your audio so you can hear us, joining on the live stream. Please introduce yourself in the chat, say where you're joining us from. Mads, one of our national field team members, is also going to drop a link for our text banks. So you can all sign up while you're getting settled before we get started. As you know, we're reaching out to 5 million low-income, low-propensity voters this election season. So while you're settling in, it's a perfect time to sign up for text banks that we have going on every single day. When we launched our final push to the polls on September 19th, and up till now, we've almost past 2 million people texted. That means that millions of poor and low income and low wage workers are mobilizing to the polls. And that's why we're meeting tonight. We're just 10 days away from our national call to action, where we're going to be marching all across the country, bringing our demands to Main Street. So before I turn it over to the co-chairs to talk about this day of action, I'm going to share a video with you all. Now I'm going to pass it over to the co-chairs of the Poor People's Campaign and National Call for Moral Revival.
Well, good evening. This is Bishop William Barber, President of Repairs of the Breach and co-chair of the Poor People's Campaign, and here with Reverend Dr. Liz Steele Harris, who will also be speaking to you, the Executive Director of Kairos and co-chair of the Poor People's Campaign. You know, Zig, I know when to say something and I know when to be quiet. I've learned over the years. And that song says it all.
That's right.
That there's this army that's rising. It's continuing to build. The Bible tells us in the 37th chapter of Ezekiel that when the bones that were dried and hurt and had been rejected rose up, they became like two sticks, one justice, one love, and they became the hope of the nation. And you saw on that video images from everywhere. I mean, there's nowhere you can go now that somebody doesn't stand up and say forward together, not one step back. I was on the plane the other day and got on the plane and some folk hollered from the back, forward together. I was somewhere else. The lady ran up and she was crying and said, I'm so glad to be a part of this moral movement. And so all I want to say tonight is that in every movement, you have to have a protest strategy. You have to have a preaching or speaking and truth-telling strategy. You have to have a legal strategy. You have to have a litigation strategy. And you have to have a voting strategy. And they have to be more than strategies. They have to be nonviolent ways of life. And when you do that, history tells us that you will have breakthroughs and successes. Sometimes you'll have great struggles, but ultimately, the people will never be defeated, ultimately. And so in this season, we've decided that we've got other things to do. There's going to be litigation and legislation, and we'll probably end up having to have an even larger gathering on Washington 2024 to say to America, there's some things you just going to have to do now. But right now, our goal is to make this country feel the enormous power of 87 million poor and low wealth voters that are eligible in this country who are poor and low wealth. Some 50 million voted in the last election, but that left 27 million who did not. And our part in that is to target these 5 million across the country, but specifically in 15 states, because those 15 states, how they go will hurt the other 45 states, the other 35 states. And so every state is important, but we have to have a target. And on the 15th, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sig and Kate, we are asking every state coordinating committee that can and will to mobilize 100 people. Now, you may do more, but 100 people as a part of this army to get permits so that at 12 o'clock in your area, those that 100, you can march straight down Main Street in your capital city or the city that you're in, which is best for your state, marching about 10 feet apart with placards that tell people what's really on the ballot. Not just democracy is on the ballot, but what really is on the ballot. Because if democracy is on the ballot, it must mean living wages have to be on the ballot, because without living wages, you really don't have a just democracy. Without voting rights, you don't have a just democracy. Without women's rights, you don't have a just democracy. Without indigenous people's rights and immigrant justice and healthcare, you really don't have a democracy, a healthy democracy. You end up having an impoverished democracy. And we need to be able to show, once again, we did it in 2018, Liz. We showed that for 6 weeks we could operate simultaneously. In fact, that's when we broke through with the 140 million, because until we did that 6 weeks of simultaneous action, most people were still saying there were only 39 million poor and low wealth people in this country. But after we did 6 weeks of action, the narrative began to shift. We did it again. I can't remember all the times, but we need to do this to drive the media. We've got to use the media to help get the message out, because even if we can text back and call, but we cannot reach as many stories as a news story can reach. And we need the news and the TV and the papers in every state that can to report that day that the Army of Love and Justice, the Poor People's Campaign, poor and low wealth people, and religious advocates and allies took the main street and said to America, and particularly the poor and low wealth people and their allies, if we ever needed to vote for democracy and justice, we sure do need to vote now. We don't need 1,000, 100 people 10 feet apart. Now you'll get more, but that's the baseline. 100 people 10 feet apart. You can get 100 people out of one church, 100 people out of whatever, but a diverse group, 100 people with the 3 tri-chairs in front, your religious chair, your advocacy chair, your person who is low wealth impacted person, the 3 of them lined up in the front across, holding a banner about if we ever need to vote, we sure do need to vote now. And then the other 97 people lined up one by one, not bunched up, but one by one, 10 feet apart, stretched out, not on the sidewalk, straight down Main Street. Everybody holding a placard or wearing a body placard with the messaging and doing it simultaneously. That's a major story. And that will get major messaging out and will do even more to say the poor and low wealth people who are saying all this country, but nobody ever calls our name. Well, our mantra is make them hear you. Make them hear you. Because there's not a state in this country where if 15 to 25% of poor and low wealth people who have not voted and their allies were to vote, that they could not change the outcome or determine who gets elected in every office from the Senate to the House. It may not happen this time all the way, but it very may happen. But we must make our power felt and let people know that the army is not getting any weaker, but it's rising. And so tonight, after Reverend Dr. Liz has her remarks and framing, our national organizing team will give out the guidelines and answer questions. And we wanted to have this call tonight for this big, massive day. When is it, Zig?
Saturday, October 15th.
October 15th. We're doing it on Saturday. That's the other way to guarantee the news, because not, and right in the middle of the day. And for those that may be in other religious traditions, we're gonna work out something for that. Some persons have even said that they there's some ways they can still act, and we don't have any problem if some folks act on that Friday. It might be that certain religious traditions do something on one day. Nothing wrong with 2 days, but on that one day we want to be simultaneously active. I'm going to ask you all the permission tonight to step off. I have to preach a eulogy tomorrow of another dear friend. I buried 3 movement leaders in the last 2 weeks who are all avid allies and close comrades. But this too is a part of what it means to be family. This too is a part of what it means to love one another. And so one of our dear PPC members in North Carolina, member of the coordinating committee, Ms. Daphne Holmes, who's been a long-time leader in the state, succumbed to brain cancer a few days ago. And on tomorrow, we will lay her to rest. And so I'm going to ask that you give us your prayers. But I want to say this about her as I close tonight. The word Daphne literally comes from the word laurel. It comes out of Greek mythology. And the laurel, as you know, is a crown that the victors put on in the ancient world, ancient Greek, ancient Roman culture. But the name means victory. And the name also means, when you look it up, is someone who helps others achieve victory. And so let us be the kind of people who not only seek victory for ourselves, but we help others to achieve the victories of living wages, the victory of healthcare, the victory of voting rights, the victories of their women's and their body rights being protected, the victory of overcoming violent insurrections, not with apathetic resignation, but with a powerful, committed, moral resurrection. God bless you all. Love you more than you know. And we look forward to us acting simultaneously in a way America has not seen on October 15th, saying if we ever needed to vote for democracy and justice, we sure do need to vote now. Love you all. Take care.
Thank you, Bishop. Reverend Liz, I'd love to pass it over to you to talk to. It's almost 500 folks we have here in the Zoom and more joining us online.
Indeed, indeed. And it is a powerful uprising of this army, this nonviolent army, gathering here this evening and in states across the country. So many prayers out to Bishop Barber and to the movement family in North Carolina. So many prayers out to our siblings in Florida who are still feeling it and still reeling from the devastation and loss. And our Poor People's Campaign leaders there who have been, both getting attention to the issues and making sure to connect people up and insist that we should still be able to vote in this election, especially as these kind of crises and storms rage on, and so many prayers and love to everyone in these not easy days. So I was reflecting a little bit on both what Bishop Barber was just saying and obviously the powerful video that we opened this call with, and with this amazing movement song of Break Every Chain. And it was making me think about the words. And most of you all who know me know many of the different words of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. are important and special, but especially when he called for a Poor People's Campaign in December of 1967. He said, "The poor and dispossessed of this nation live in a cruelly unjust society. If they can be helped to take action together, they will do so with a freedom and a power that will be a new and unsettling force in our complacent national life." And then he continues, it says, we will be recruiting thousands of poor people to come to Washington and to practice nonviolent skills. This intergenerational, multiracial, nonviolent army of the poor will break through, right? And so just thinking about this amazing action that folks are coming together and organizing on October 15th in the midst of these 50 days that we've been reaching out and touching millions of voters. after we pulled off one of the largest historic gatherings of poor and low-income people there on Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. for this mass poor people and low-wage workers assembly and moral march on Washington and to the polls. After, as Bishop Barber was reminding us, we launched this powerful campaign with the largest and most expansive wave of nonviolent civil disobedience in the 21st century, and have continued to build power and to shake up this complacent national life since. So my words this evening do not need to take much time, but are all about the power of this nonviolent army coming together and breaking through and shaking things up and calling out to those in power, but then also calling out to all of our siblings in states across the country that we are a new and unsettling force, and we're powerful, and we're a new and unsettling force, and we're here. And that this indeed, what Bishop Barber was saying, that we have the power to transform the entire political landscape and make this society, make our elected officials, make our candidates actually speak to expanding Medicaid and enacting universal health care, to actually speak to raising the minimum wage to a living wage, and having paid family leave and sick leave, and having medication and all the health care that we could use to thrive. To make our politicians and our candidates actually, do things like extend and make permanent a child tax credit and other social welfare programs, from the bottom up, to actually, make our politicians and our society and our candidates, speak to real immigration reform and to end this mistreatment of our Indigenous and Native siblings, to have our society, actually reach out and enact all of the demands that this campaign has put together, that's based on the needs and the necessities and the priorities of the 140 million people who are poor and one emergency away from absolute economic ruin. And we know that we are making a difference, and we know that our votes are powerful, because what we've seen over the past election has been, this rolling coup to try to take away the already impoverished democracy and voting rights that we had. And so we will continue to fight to actually expand and protect our voting rights, as we at the same time fight to build up this nonviolent army of the poor, to be able to win it all and win it now. And so really looking forward to being on the streets with you on October 15th, and looking forward to also then being able to share amongst ourselves and amongst our states about this powerful uprising. And as Sig started us off with, please sign up to join these text banks. Please sign up to be doing canvassing. Please get involved and continue to pull in other people, because we are making a difference. We are touching people, and we are going to transform the society from the bottom up. So really excited to hear more of the details, more of the way that we're going to actually be organized on the 15th. And I'm going to throw it back to you, Sig, and to others.
Thanks, Reverend Liz, for those powerful remarks. And yes, please, I'm going to ask Mads, please drop that link in the chat again, how folks can get involved as soon as tomorrow. Text banking folks. So great. Such a great team that we have. Hundreds and hundreds of people every week reaching out to their neighbors to make sure that they have a plan to vote. They know where and how they can register, and also making sure that their family, their friends, their congregation members, the person at the deli, everybody knows how and where to vote and what's at stake and what's on the ballot. So on October 15th, like we've been talking about all across the nation, we're bringing our demands to Main Street. We're going to organize a march in every single state that's able to, with at least 100 people. And like Bishop said, at 12 p.m., your time, to uplift the issues of poor and low wealth people and low wage workers. We are going to center our campaign demands in this midterm election and mobilize poor and low income people and low wage workers to the polls. Like Bishop said, it's not just, democracy and justice that are on the ballot. Those are real, tangible things when we say that our demands are our votes. We're saying, voting rights are on the ballot, living wages are on the ballot, reproductive justice is on the ballot, healthcare is on the ballot, and our climate is on the ballot. So that's how we're going to make them hear us on October 15th, by getting into the street, bringing our issues onto Main Street. And now we are going to hear from some folks all across the country who are doing just that. We're going to hear how they're organizing and mobilizing for October 15th. And what they're doing in their community to get out the vote. So first, I'm going to see if Linnell could come off mute and share with us from Baltimore, Maryland, what they're doing for October 15th and share her story.
Yes. Greetings. I'm Linnell Fall from Baltimore, Maryland, where the late, great Elijah Cummings presided. And we're working really, really hard. I have 2 positions, tri-chair and SCO, and it's kept me quite busy, quite busy. And we are canvassing all over Maryland, working with partners and creating new alliances. We were planning to have our march in Baltimore, Maryland. But because there was a marathon and all of the streets heading towards our city hall are going to be blocked. We can't go to the Capitol because there's another event going on, a boat event. You can't go to the Capitol either. So we decided to go to Westminster. And it's very interesting because in our planning, it's all coming together. We're planning, each team member is planning to bring at least 10 or more members and friends and creative individuals to come to the march. And the march will be at City Hall on the lawn. We will be gathering there. We will have drummers. We will have our musicology. We will have our leaders, regional, our policy committee, because we have a policy in Maryland where we are asking everyone to sign this End of Poverty in Maryland bill, which is very exciting. It's gathering a lot of momentum. It's gathering a lot of momentum, and we are really fighting to have this to be passed. We have several ballots that we are pushing. Our comms team is really pushing out a did you know? We have a question K. We have know the facts. A marijuana criminalization has created racial injustice and mass incarceration in Baltimore, and we are voting on this bill also. We really want to bring attention to the poverty and the low income in Westminster, because 5-year-old children, children in this county, 62.5% of them are poor and low income. These are the 5-year-olds. The females at the age from 6 to 11 is 12%. And by the time the females turn 15, it's 37%. They are below the poverty level there. And there is a serious issue with low income and poverty in this area. And we want to bring light to that. We want to empower them to stand up and speak out and I have a great understanding that voting is power. If they don't use votes, this will continue. So we are going there to encourage them. We have the NAACP there. We have the League of Women Voters there. We're going to have the Unitarian Church there. We're going to have other partners and individual groups that want to table and stand with us and align themselves with us, because this movement is moving in Maryland. It's breaking down barriers. People want to join us. People want to change what is taking place. We are finding whosoever will is coming to the table and saying we need a change. And I want to encourage those of all of us that are out there that we are really making a difference and we are really doing God's work. And this is the most powerful work that I've been engaged in all of my Christian walk, to be out here empowering and helping from the bottom up and speaking out against injustice. And then I want to encourage our voters, our reformers, our team, that we must act after this election to guarantee fair and equitable implementation of justice reform. We demand an end to the structural injustices created by bias, law enforcement, bias, treatment within the legal system, and use of law that drives mass incarceration while making communities less unsafe. We have a lot of work to do, but together we'll make that 5 million mark, and then we will continue for 2024. And yes, they will hear us. They are hearing
That's
us.
right.
Very upset. And
That's
let me
right, now.
Let everybody, let other folks speak. But we do have an issue here in all parts of Maryland, from the Appalachians to the Southern Poles. We have a lot going on here, and we need to empower each other, stand together, and become more and more unified to get the work done. Thank you.
That's right. Thank you so much, Linnell, for sharing how you're mobilizing for October 15th, what it means for Maryland and for the country. And I just want to share, just say one sentence that you said one more time, that this movement is moving. We're going to start using that and saying that more and more, because it's true. This movement is moving. And next, I want to invite Brother Carter from California to share how they're getting this movement moving in California for October 15th.
Thank you, Siggy. Hello, people of color, my sisters and brothers. I'm Brother Carter here in Sacramento, California, which is the heart of California, where we have over 20 million people in poverty. And it's a shame because we're fifth in the world economy. To change that, change the narrative, we're mobilizing through phone bank. We are putting together flyers. We're partnering with local organizations that are dealing with impacted people. Our plan is to come together in the heart of California, in the heart of the city, which is Capitol Mall. We'll start at Crocker Park. We'll march up the Capitol Plaza, and on our way to our state capitol to draw attention so that folks will know that we're marching on the business economic street of the whole entire capital of California. That's what Capitol Mall is, and that leads to the Capitol where legislation is being done. So to have the signs out and have everybody with signs, and to make sure that they're talking about economics and why they're in poverty is very important. We have to see today that our backs are against the wall. You know what I'm saying? We represent the democracy that is needed today, that they're trying to take away, because that democracy represents every woman, man, and child of different sizes, shapes, and colors. And we formed that in our moral fusion. And we're going to make sure that we present that, here in the state of California. It's not just here, but it's everywhere. Let it be known that it's a small drip that makes a big puddle in anything that you do. And through that puddle, you can create a river. And that, when I'm talking about, that's a flow of people, what I'm saying, that are energized, motivated, and ready to go to work. And that's what we have to be. At this time, our backs are against the wall, and we refuse to die and say give up. Well, are we gonna say the road is too hard? No, we're not. We're gonna say that the road is there, and we're gonna go down it until we get to the light at the end of the tunnel. And that's what it's about with each and every one of us that is in this movement today, to make sure that we can continue, to be a voice, because a closed mouth don't get fed, but we have to be heard, and we have to let other people around us hear us and what we're talking about when it comes to a moral fusion, and when it comes to the Voting Rights Act, when it comes to the child tax credit and low-wage workers and impoverished people without housing. We are connecting also with the unhoused itself, the people that are the homeless, Sacramento Homeless Union, the statewide union, and having those folks connect with us also. So it's important today. Know that we're at the fierce urgency of now. We have love on the front line, and love on the front line is a dangerous way to live, because in the end, no one wins until we get to the place that we're trying to get to. So let's get there. Thank you. God bless you. And remember, forward together and not one step back. And remember, when we live from the bottom, everybody rises. And let's continue to be a new and unsettling force.
That's right, Brother Carter. We got love on the front lines. That's right. Next, I want to invite Courtney from Mississippi to share how they're mobilizing in Mississippi for October 15th. Courtney, you're on mute.
Hello, everyone. Sorry about the delay. How's everyone doing tonight? I'm just elated. Good. Okay. I'm elated to be a part of the movement. If there ever was a time is now. We're basically doing door-to-door canvassing. We're putting flyers, restaurants, downtowns. We're advertising every day. I'm started so soon, but I started with the movement while incarcerated. Some of you may know and some of you may not. I was sentenced to 15 years in prison. I started with the Mississippi Poor People Campaign inside, and they gave me an opportunity, and now I'm full force moving with the movement every day. Been home 8 weeks. I do know personally firsthand what a racial injustice is like. That was one of my so-called charges. I went on and I won twice with the Mississippi Court of Appeals, went on and the Mississippi Supreme Court reversed that action. And now we're at the United States Supreme Court. So I know what it's like to be dealing with healthcare issues, voter suppressions. Mississippi has a long history of voter suppression and policy violations and healthcare issues and injustice. And 84% of the population here are poor African Americans who are the constituents of the voters here. So the movement is what I desire. I mean, the energy we're putting out is the energy we're receiving. So like he said, forward together, not one step back. And I'm just elated to be a part of this movement and to be out every day mobilizing, making sure the message is getting across and the people are aware of the importance and, how this is going to affect us, collectively. So I think the message is being spread like it should be, and it's being received properly. But like if it ever was a time, like I say, the time is now for us to collectively constantly move as a nation to get the message out, and do it in love, but get the mission accomplished.
That's right, Courtney. Thank you so much for sharing what y'all are doing in Mississippi. And you're right, it's going to take every single one of us mobilizing all across the country to get this done. And we're going to hear from Pam, who's going to talk about what they're doing in West Virginia for October 15th.
Thank you, Zig. My name is Pam Garrison, and I'm Tri-Chair of the West Virginia Poor People's Campaign. Like Linnell, we were planning on having our event at the Capitol in Charleston, but because of circumstances, the same thing, streets closed off and everything, we've decided to have our march in Jefferson County Courthouse, where the late, great John Brown was tried. We will meet with partners there, NAACP, all the partners that we can bring together to resurrect that spirit of John Brown, to bring back the justice, equality, fairness. In West Virginia, we're one of the poorest states in the nation. And my people has lost heart. They've lost hope. And with that void has been filled with bigotry, fascism, lies. And we've been working for several years now here in West Virginia to try to change hearts and minds and to get the truth out. And we're coming together. And I'm like y'all. I've seen the movement grow. I've seen it grow here in West Virginia. And after, we're going to march down Main Street in Jefferson County, down all the way to the other end of town to a park called Evetts Park, where we'll be joining the environmental Eastern Panhandle Green Coalition environmental groups there that will be waiting on us. They will have things set up for like a community fair and stuff where we can fellowship, we can continue registering and educating people, and hopefully change hearts and minds here in West Virginia. So thank everybody for all your hard work that you're doing. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Pam. You're right. All of our hearts and minds are together in this fight, in this movement, in this moment to mobilize and organize, not just ourselves, not just our communities, but bringing more and more people in. We owe that to this country. We owe that to our states. So thank you for sharing that. We are just about done for the evening, but we're going to take just a couple questions about October 15th. So field team, please help me identify some folks who have their hands raised. I think we'll have time for about 3 questions before we have to close out for the night.
Michael Perez, please leave a name, phone number.
It looks like we've got a question from Joanna.
Great, Joanna. We have a question about October 15th.
Oops, thank you. And this was also posed in the chat by someone else. Is there a link that will tell us where everyone is marching by state? Because some of us, yeah, that's the question. And I also saw it in the chat posed by someone else.
Yes, great question. So we are
Thanks.
compiling from every state right now, their specific details. We hope to have a whole list for everyone on how to join very soon.
Thanks so much. And thank you all for this evening.
Thank you.
Oh, let me get my hand down.
Gavino, did you have a question?
Yes, I'm calling from Austin, Texas, and I was wanting to find out if there was organization that is conducting something here in Austin, Texas.
Great question. We are compiling where all of the March locations are going to be right now. And we know Texas is definitely planning something. So We're going to make sure that everyone here has the ability to see that. As soon as the same way that you learned about this call tonight, you'll receive that information with the list of where and when actions are.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll take one more question about October 15th.
We've got a question from Shirley. Shirley, you're on mute.
Okay, hello, everybody. Okay, I did, yeah, you did say that you're compiling the information. So I actually received an email. So is that how it's going to be distributed through email?
Yes, we'll send a notice out to everyone the same way you got the info for this call. And if there's local action near you, you'll be able to see where and when and how to plug in.
Okay, because I'm calling from Tennessee. I mean, I'm in from Tennessee.
Thanks, Shirley. All right. I don't know about you all, but after this call tonight, I'm feeling so energized and ready to hit the streets with you all. I know we won't all be in the same location, but how cool is it that we're going to be all across the country, acting at the exact same time, marching down Main Street, making sure that they hear us, making sure that our votes are our demands, and they know that we are a new and unsettling force. To close this out, I want to invite Yara Allen, our director of theomusicology at Repairs of the Breach, to send us out with a song.
Good evening, everybody. I came in just a little bit late, but I'm telling you, I came just in time to hear that everybody's fired up and ready to go. I'm sitting here in my home tonight, blessed to be with 4 generations, my 94-year-old mother, myself, I'm not gonna give my age, my 32-year-old daughter, and my 6-year-old grandson. And my mother has seen quite a few elections, and I'm empowered by her. And I've empowered my daughter, and my daughter is empowering my grandson. And we mean business, and he can't get out and vote right now, but I bet you by the time he's ready, he is going to be ready. So what we've been doing is we've been opening and closing with this song, and we want to sing it. You've heard it over and over again, but we sing it because we want it to permeate the air. We want to harness this energy and release it. The song is Come On, Come On, Come On. Don't you want to vote? Yes, I'm going to vote. And I have my grandson here who runs in because that's his song. And we're going to sing this song. And I want you to sing it and release all of this energy and let them know that we're coming. Let them know we're on the way, right? And if we put it in the atmosphere, we're going to be able to walk right into it when we're out there in October. I am fired up. Are you fired up, Liam?
Yep.
Fired up. All right, here we go. Come on, come on, come on. Don't you want to vote? Come on, come on, come on. Don't you want to vote? Come on, come on, come on. Don't you want to vote? Yes, I'm going to vote. Oh, come on, come on, come on. Don't you want to vote? Come on, come on, come on. Don't you want to vote? Come on, come on, come on. Don't you want to vote? Yes, I'm going to vote. Well, is our power. Don't you want to vote? Voting is our power. Don't you want to vote? Voting is our power. Don't you want to vote? Yes, I'm going to vote. We're voting for healthcare. Don't you want to vote? Voting for healthcare. Don't you want to vote? Voting for healthcare. Don't you want to vote? Yes, I'm going to vote. Well, we're voting for living wages. And don't you want to vote? We're voting for living wages. Don't you want to vote? We're voting for living wages. Don't you wanna vote? Yes, I'm going to vote. Well then, come on, come on, come on. Don't you wanna vote? Come on, come on, come on. Don't you wanna vote? Come on, come on, come on. Don't you wanna vote? Yes, I'm going to vote. Yeah.
Thank you, Yara, Liam. That was a beautiful duet. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight for this very important call for the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. And before we head out, gonna end like we end all things. Forward together.
Not one. One step back.
More people, you got to come off. You're not new. Come on. All right. Forward together.
Not one step back.
Forward together.
One
step back. Thank you, everyone.
Step together, not one step.
Yes.
One step back. One step back.
One step back.
Thanks so much.
One step together, not one step